One of my biggest complaints about mirrorless cameras has been the less than stellar battery life. Now, back when I shot with a DSLR all of 1 year ago, I could easily get through a 3-hour-long portrait shoot on just one battery. But after upgrading, I realized quickly that this was not the case when using a mirrorless camera with a full-time EVF and LCD screen. Now, it certainly isn't the end of the world, and changing a battery in the middle of a shoot really only takes a minute, but it also disrupts the flow of the session, and more importantly, sometimes it requires you to retether the camera to your computer. So if you've been using Capture One with a Canon R5 or an R6, you maybe have run into a similar situation like I have, where the camera will have some very minor tethering issues, which requires you to either restart the program or take the card out of the camera to get it to connect again once the battery's changed. And after being in this situation a number of times with the R5, I decided to purchase a vertical battery grip for the camera, although generally I don't like using a grip for portrait photography because I feel like it's bulky and really not necessary. But having two batteries in the grip meant that I would never, if rarely, have to change a battery during a long portrait session, and that's why I got it. At the time, which was about a year ago, I also figured I'd find an off-brand relatively easy, but I was surprised to find none available when I was shopping around at that time. I eventually begrudgingly purchased the Canon brand grip, although I find it to be way overpriced at $350, which is what I paid for it a year ago. Now, if you follow my channel, you may have seen my review of the grip for this camera, where I discuss a lot of these similar issues and also give you an overall description and review of the product. So I'll link it below in case you're interested in checking it out. And as I mentioned, at the time, there were no off-brand grips available, but thankfully that has all changed now because there is finally a third-party version available for the Canon R5 and R6, and it is made by a company called MCO Plus. Now, they reached out to me and asked me to review their grip, and I happily accepted to do so because this is an item I was looking to purchase when I bought my R5 about a year ago. Of course, they did not have any input in this review, and there are both pluses and minuses to the product, which we're going to talk about right now. So let's start with the pros. The biggest pro of the MCO Plus, which I have right here, is the price. The grip retails for $99, whereas the Canon grip will set you back $329 on Amazon. So speaking from a value standpoint, the third-party grip is certainly an excellent value for your dollar when you consider that the Canon is 3 times or more than 3 times the price. Another pro of this is that it is identical to the Canon brand, and it's made pretty well too. Now, there are a few small differences in the fit and finish, which I'm going to discuss soon, but once I put the grip on my camera and used it at an actual portrait shoot, it worked exactly like the Canon grip, and I soon forgot that I even had a third-party item attached to the camera. Now let's talk about a couple of the cons. The first thing that I noticed about the grip when I took it out of the box is that the faux sort of leatherette grip feels different than the Canon brand and then the camera itself. Now, it's slightly more grippy in its texture, while the Canon feels a little bit more smooth. So I wouldn't say that it feels worse than the Canon necessarily, but it definitely feels different. The other biggest difference between the MCO Plus grip and the Canon is the feeling of the buttons. On the Canon grip, the buttons have a very premium sort of soft press feel, and they don't click hard when you press them. The dials also feel similar to that in that respect. On the third-party grip, the buttons and dials have a much more clicky feeling, which you can hear, and they lack that premium feel of the Canon original brand. The battery tray springs are also coiled springs instead of a thin piece of metal like on the Canon brand, which doesn't feel as robust. And finally, I did notice that when attaching the grip to the camera, I needed to fidget with it just a little bit to make sure that the connections line up properly. Now, this is something that I never have to do with the Canon grip, as it attaches super snugly to the camera without any futzing at all. So what do I think overall of this grip? Well, For $99, the MCO Plus grip is very hard to beat for the price point. Once it's on the camera and you're shooting with it, you'll most likely forget that it's a third-party anything because it's very, very close to the feeling of the Canon, and it operates exactly the same. If, however, you are very nitpicky about your gear, you may want to go with the Canon brand because there is a difference in the feeling, as I just talked about, and it's mainly in the grip texture and the buttons. Now, having said that, it doesn't look different on the camera. It basically looks the same. So if you're going for looks, there's nothing to worry about there. So to wrap it up, if this grip was available when I was shopping for one, I would have purchased it over the Canon brand just based on the price point alone, since I've had good luck with third-party grips in the past, and I don't look at the grip as such a consequential accessory for my camera that I need to go with the original brand, like I would look at a lens, for instance. Well, that's all I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this quick video. Do you use a vertical grip? I know that some photographers love them, some photographers hate them. I myself am kind of indifferent towards the idea of using a vertical grip, although as I already mentioned, I do use it just because it gives me that better battery life. As always, don't forget to gently press that like button. You do not need to smash it. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel while you're at it too, so you don't miss my latest video. Here's wishing you an awesome day. Go out and take some great pictures, and I will see you next time. Peace.